Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of STFU Nakalibitse ke Kgawelo, and today we will be talking about a very interesting topic titled "The Internet is a Giant Magic Show." Beware and be wary, guys, because there is trickery at every corner. Okay, be very vigilant and take everything with a hint of salt. So, without any further ado, let us talk about this trickery and why you, as a South African, should be interested.
I'm coming in hot.
So, why the heck did I just say the internet is a magic show, and why did I just say that you, as a South African woman, should be interested in what I'm about to say? Well, Ntombo, sit tight, because does South Africa has a magic elixir that it is giving their women? Because why on earth does it seem like why does it seem like South African men are, dare I say, obsessed? I use the word okay, a form of possessive narcissism. That is what they have towards us, right? And why does it seem like that? Like, why are South African men so focused on their women? And why is it that, looking at it, objectively looking at our society, the people who are more likely to marry outside the country and outside their races is often women? And in black communities, it's women. Black South African women are more likely to marry outside their races and outside their country. The men, not so much. And that isn't to say that South African men aren't attractive, or like other women outside South Africa not finding them attractive. They are. In fact, South African men are most likely to travel. These are just my humble opinions and views. I don't know what the stats look like, but the way I see it, South African men are more likely to travel. Like black South African men, they seem to enjoy traveling. They like traveling, especially international travel. Yeah, that's just my opinion again. But they're not marrying that side. And even if they do go that side, they come back and they get a wife this side. In fact, I think that um Indian and white South African men are most likely to marry non-South African women than black South African men are. Right? I don't know much about the Asian South African community. Okay, that was incredibly long, but basically what I was getting at was, is there an elixir? It's in the genes. So this TikToker this one time said, don't be fooled, guys, do not be fooled. It's their mother's genes. Those South Africans, gym influencers who are promising you the nyash and the skin and the beauty, it's the genes. It's the genes. That's basically what the TikToker was saying. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, probably maybe that is also part of the internet trickery that is out there, that someone will not tell you that, yeah, no, I was born with this nyash. I've always been a big nyash girl, but because I want you to follow me and I want you to buy this thing that I'm selling, I'm just gonna say to you, oh, I worked so hard in the gym. I worked incredibly hard in the gym, and this is how I got the nyash, right? And then another thing is, if there was an elixir, if there was a magic potion, if there was something that we are being fed, it would not be a South African secret. One thing I've come to notice about the world, and especially about women, is that there, there's hardly anything that is exclusive to that region of the world. It's the same thing done differently. So, for example, let's say skin and beauty, right? You'll find, or the only differences are that we have to tweak it here and there because we are dark skinned. We have like different hair types. We might be doing things similarly but differently. even when it comes to nails, when it comes to the clothing, the materials we use for clothing, when it comes to women, there are things that are universal, but because of differences in skin tone and cultures and traditions, they have to be tweaked a little bit, but in essence, it's the same thing. So, if there was an elixir that the South African women, South African girls are being fed, every woman would know about it. It would be a global thing that women just know. So, okay, this is what happens. The women, they get known as beautiful, right? What do they attract? They attract passport bros. And we all know that passport bros are a problem. Passport bros and red pill guys, these guys are a problem, right? So the passport bros, basically, in layman's terms, how I understand it is, passport bros are like this. Oh my god, dude, I went on vacation. I went to South Africa on vacation. And when I got there, oh my god, I saw this girl and I fell in love instantly and I knew she had to be my wife. But we couldn't get married because, oh my god, South Africa is not a freaking huge village of poor, starving people. If anything, this girl, her family could give me a job and pay me really good money in whatever currency they use. So passport bros are usually men from the first world countries who come to third world or second world countries and just look for struggling wives, right? So the way it goes is, oh, I went on vacation and oh my god, I fell in love with this girl. I brought her home and now she's my wife. But because she comes from a struggling country, she's poor. She grew up in poverty. All she knows is poverty. What I am giving her is, number one, a free country. Number two, all these laws that protect her. She's basically free from tradition, culture, and all that hooliganism that's happening. And number three, I am her god. She will worship me. All the things that I'm giving her, if I am going to be giving this woman a monthly allowance of this much, this is what I expect from her. I want a clean house. I want her to take care of my kids. I want her to birth my 17 children that I want. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's one, they're very traditional. These are traditional countries, religion and tradition and spirituality. They govern basically the societies, the way the society is. In the middle of it, there's culture, there's tradition, there's religion, there's spirituality. These are the things that govern the people. The laws are based off of these things. So if you go to, let's say, an Asian country, and in that Asian country, we know hierarchy and age are everything. Even the way that the system and the societies are constructed, hierarchy is everything. Not only that, yes, there are matriarchs, but men are basically the rulers. Or you find that in African countries where it's the men first, and then everyone else comes after. And then if there is no man, or if the line is not clear, then there's age, right? And if the line is still not clear, the grandfather has to choose. So, it's always those things. So, women are at the very bottom of everything. And they at the bottom, they have to kneel and scrub and clean and cook and do all these house duties, right? And that's the wife that these men are looking for. They want that woman. They want a woman who will subject herself and respect him as a man while he is, just free to be who he is, doing the stuff that that he likes doing. And basically a woman who will stand for things that women in his country will never stand for, because gay, like I said, it's a free country. They are free women, so they'll never conform or like agree with the stuff that he wants, or is like trying to get them to do or to allow, right? So I said a mouthful, but basically that is who passport bros are, and that is what people mean when they say, oh, passport bros. So what happens is, let's say for example in South Africa, we will see a male creator. And I want women to be incredibly aware of this because it is so toxic. It's toxic, and I hate seeing it. There will be a male influencer, right? The biggest platform right now internationally is TikTok, so I'll just keep going back to TikTok, right? So there will be a South African male influencer, and on
And
there he's
on
like,
there, he's like, oh my god, pro woman, Mandela, you know, Asadi Bini, you know, pro woman. He's like, oh my god, right?
what are we gonna do? We're gonna rally towards this man because South African men are incredibly violent and toxic to their women. So obviously, when a man shows up and he's like, uh, screw those guys. You guys deserve better. Obviously, we find community in that guy, and we're like, oh my god, he's safe. So we're all gonna go rushing towards this man, right? And then what do we find when we get there? Oh, okay, yeah, it's true. He seems to be who he says he is. He's living this, but it's also a form of victimization because he knows, Hore, by doing this, he's gonna gain popularity. He's gonna gain fame, basically clout, and by doing that, he is in a way victimizing those people. He says, Hore, no, I'm anti men doing this to women, but if a man was to attack a woman before him, he would never ever lift a finger. He will do what everyone does in this country, which is if you see a man viciously attacking a woman, you're not going to call the cops, you're not going to intervene, you're just going to take your phone and start recording. That is what happens in this country. Unfortunately, this is how we live. This is how violence towards women is being treated. And then he's going to take that video that he recorded and goes, oh my god, this is what I came across, and I was so scared to approach because he had in his hand maybe Bakstena. And the argument that I have is, this man o shapa batho ba bomme because o tshaba batho ba bontate. If you were to be a leader and just take the first stand and be like, you're not gonna do that. You do know who you're gonna get supported by, not only men but women too, because with you in front, you are encouraging the women who are standing there to rally behind you because they're like, okay, look, if he sees a mob coming, then he's not going to do anything. But if it's just a group of women, we're scared because if he can do that to one of us, broad daylight, what is he going to do to all of us? And it's scary because if he sees Hore, ke motho re dulang le yena, and he's seen all our faces, he might wait and come to us one by one. But if you're at the forefront and we're all rallying behind you, he's not gonna look at you and be like, oh, it can be that thing ya hore if he comes for me, ke tlo re ko yena ke re, oh, o ntse mo hopola ban, calling out your name, I'm gonna go get him and he's gonna deal with you again, right? So it's that thing ya hore you are placing yourself in a situation, or when you're like a man and you're like, oh, Amandlela, you're basically, that is what you're saying. That is the impression you're giving us, hore. When push comes to shove, you will stand for us. You will protect us. Like harm, like the example that I just made. Like when after we've rallied against this man and perhaps he goes go chankaning, even if it's just like for a night, spend the night, go jail, and then when he comes back, he starts um targeting us one by one. When as the person who was like, yeah, screw those men, you're whom we call out to, we're like, hey, remember how you said screw these men? Here's a situation. I stood up for a friend of mine and now over and I know you said, oh, you don't like this thing, so please come and help me. And then they like they're like, oh my god, no, I never said that. That is not me. This is so scary. Call the police. That is terrible, guys. These men just want clout, and I'm sorry to say this, but if you as a guy are here on the internet saying, or oh, imbokoto, imbokoto, amandla, and you know, hore, when the time comes and we call to you and we're like, oh my god, this person is attacking us, please come save us. Utodocha, stop lying on the internet. Just say, or I want clout. Because remember, your content, the tse di poster where you're busy posting, or oh, like South African women are so beautiful, we should be protecting our sisters, and dun, 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 dun. Not only are you giving way to these men that you're saying you're against, you're also attracting the passport bros. You are gaining international interest, and people are like, oh my god, these women, are they really as beautiful as he says? And then when they go on the internet, who do they see? Our representatives are some of the world's most beautiful women. Boma Pelmediadi, Bobanang, and all these other women. Super beautiful. Bozozi Bini. Yo, guys, they first see our representatives before they see your everyday Jane Does. Jwalo ka bo nna sona, right? So you are attracting you are attracting passport bros, which number one, you're making us vulnerable. Number two, you are inviting danger not only to us but to our economy too, right? And what this is doing is it is gaining momentum and interest in countries where black was never beautiful, in countries where people had ceremonies, like literal national ceremonies, where they would put on blackface and go around scaring children. Or, oh, there's this demon. If you do 1, 2, 3, 4, this demon will come for you. And then when you look at the demon, it's just blackface with a afro, just going around scaring kids. And then when the child when the child sees someone who looks like me, they're incredibly frightened because to them growing up I was a monster. Someone who looks like me was a monster. That time now I'm just enjoying my melanated skin and I have my fro out and then the child is scared. It's not even a thing of racism. Okay, there is racism, yes, but there's also that thing, yeah, Hotab, just incredible fear where they don't know. When as children they were taught, oh, this is what a demon looks like. So how can you trust something? Because one thing about Hurutisiwa and indoctrination is that if it is something that comes from a trusted place, so go kerekeng, go skolong, ka mo tlung, ka mo jareteng, it's so strong that even lao solo moholo and it makes sense, or like it doesn't make sense, like it doesn't make sense to you when you're looking at it and you're like, why the hell am I so scared of this thing, like it's not even true. But that's because indoctrination is so close to home to who you are. It's so impactful that you can't just shake it off. You hear people about, oh, I was in therapy for 15 years and I'm still not over it. That is how bad it gets. This thing, I understand it because okay, we have a dog now. We've always had dogs, Kamajara thing. I love dogs. With all that I am, I love dogs. Like, I am such a doggy person, I'm not gonna lie. But, in high school, I used to have these dreams of dogs attacking me, and always they would bite me, and I would wake up, and like, the area where I was bit would hurt, right? Like, it would hurt. So I have this fear. So even if I like dogs, doesn't matter how much I love dogs, there's always that thing that's like just a little bit terrified of dogs. Like I have this thing, like when a dog comes running, like we have such an energetic dog. He loves running around, like zoomies, yeah. He likes having those zoomies around the yard, and when he sees you coming and sprinting towards you, and he's so heavy, you guys. Yo, this dog is so heavy, and he'll be like throwing himself on you, and like you lose your balance if you don't straight out fall to the ground. Right, that's the dog we have, and when he does that, I shudder inside. Like I can feel my bones tremble, and I know this is my dog. Like Chapisa would be there eating, and I'll be like playing with him, just massaging him, and I'll never attack. He's such a calm dog. He's so friendly, but I still get scared sometimes. I did feel that, you know. So I get it with those communities. But I sometimes cannot trust. I sometimes cannot trust it, especially, yes, it's true to have those people, I guess you can say, who are renegades, right? Right? Um, there's people who renegade from their systems, and they're like, no, but I like this person, she's pretty, and like I want to unlearn everything that I was taught just so I can be with this person and live with them forever and that we can be happy. But that's just them. And when you marry someone, you're not just marrying them, you're marrying their families, their friends, their systems, their country. You're being married, you're now gaining dual citizenship, actually. Unfortunately, being a black woman is so complex, and the black woman beauty is so complex that I feel like at the end of the day, at the base of it, you have to find yourself beautiful and you have to be content with that, because that is probably the most you're gonna get, regardless of your shade. You could be very dark, you could be light, you could be caramel, you could be creamed coffee, or you could be black coffee. Whatever your skin tone is as a black woman, it first needs to start in here, and you also have to accept the fact that that is probably all it's going to be, because if people outside yourself say you're beautiful, it's probably, it's a lot. I remember a couple of days ago someone said to me that, so I'm celibate now, and we were talking about this whole topic of me being celibate, and he basically said that no, the way that men react to women, it's because women keep sending out messages. And I was like, so you're telling me that I am explicitly saying I'm celibate, so I don't appreciate any sexual suggestions or ing, and I was basically saying, okay, since I started my celibacy journey, men are weird. Like, before starting, I did not know that in this country, gay, at the very least, however you're gonna get kissed, you're gonna get touched, just you're gonna have people come into your personal space in very sexual and unwelcomed way. And he was basically saying that I invite that I suggest it, and I am saying to you, basically, I don't appreciate it. Not only do I not appreciate it, but it is, every time someone kisses me, they're resetting my clock. I can't say, oh, I've been celibate for 4 years, I now have to start and say, oh, starting tomorrow I'll be celibate for a day. And unfortunately, you can't live in your room and not interact with the world. That is just crazy. You have to go out and you have to interact with the world. And I was telling him, I find that very, very frustrating, that me having to go out and interact with the world is is not the nicest of things. So I guess, of all the things that have happened to me, this is one of them, and it's actually making me think, because I'm like, but what did I do? I did nothing. Obviously, when someone adds a fire, they find you attractive, and it's probably just something that is purely physical, right? They probably like, I like her face, I like her body, I like how she behaves, I like how 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's probably something superficial at first, and then when you start dating, it begins to get more and more intimate, basically, ne? So I'm trying to think, what did I do physically? And I cannot find myself, or I cannot find the thing that justifies what he said. Anyway, was it better when black was ugly? I think yes. I think yes. I think yes. It was incredibly better when black was ugly because the pool was smaller. The group of people and the groups of guys who had the chance or opportunity or who were open to this whole thing were so few. Were so few that you knew as a black woman, you knew who were getting involved with someone who isn't of your culture, of your country, for them to take you. It was them going against everything. And they must love you if they're willing to just face possible, possibly being ostracized by everyone around them, and probably maybe even having to come live in your country because living in theirs is gonna be almost impossible emotionally and mentally, right? That they have to come and live with you in your country because theirs is just going to be unlivable. That was a level of love that you could fall back on. But nowadays, it's a trend. It's a trend. And one thing about these things that trend on the internet is if you stick around long enough, I promise you, give it a year, give it 2 years. This has been evident with all the cosmetic surgeries that we're seeing all over the internet. Give it a year, give it 2 years, give it a year, give it 2 years. It's chai. Like, that's, and unfortunately, that has been the truth now that we are seeing. And I'm still speaking about South Africa. That is what we are seeing in South Africa, right? Especially with all the people who left, like just, oh, this job was trending at one point. So Lina, I'm also gonna go and try my hand at it. And then when they get there, it's not what you thought it was. It's really not. And I'm not saying what a home would have been better because we all know South Africa is one of the countries that are incredibly racist, and it's bad because so probably maybe home wouldn't have been better, but at least home you have support, you have a support system, you have support structures. Like home is reliable. It's okay, guys. With that being said, that concludes this episode. Please remember to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next episode.